All right, welcome everybody to Thursday, May 22nd, and actually the day after my mom's birthday. So it's a good day. It's another productive day. This is we're changing the name of my webinar to Money Matters with Ivan Oberon, and the reason that I'm doing that is because uh, there's a whole backside kind of to real estate and real estate investing, and that's what I'm going to be focusing on. We brought on our good partner Scott, who has been a licensed contractor for about 17, 18 years, and I really want him to kind of take over the rehabbing side of things and giving his perspective and deal flow and stuff like that. Plus, it's a really good addition to our team because he's really good at sniffing out contractors and what they do and what they don't do and what they should be sending, and et cetera, et cetera. And I'm better at finding the money and putting the deals together and everything like that. So it's a good addition to our team. He's going to join the C2C brand, and he's going to be doing more of the bird dog, rehabbing, et cetera type of calls. And I'm going to be focusing more on financial strategies and tips and how to raise money, how to deal with investors, notes, that sort of thing, so that we can have kind of a more well-rounded portfolio of webinars and things to share with you. And I'm gonna be focusing a little bit on mindset. Obviously, you guys know that Pete focuses a lot on mindset, and it's going to be a good package, I think. Thank you, Mike. So tonight, what I wanted to do is talk about how to rehab or invest remotely, even with a full-time job. And there I am again. I am Ivan Oberon. I'm the co-founder of Coast REIA, founder of IND Investment Group, and I'm sure we'll be creating other companies here in the future. But I want to remind you all to be allergic to average, and that clarity is power. And if you have fear, well, you know what? Action kills fear. You can get all kinds of resources and support and connections and webinars and radio shows and everything like that at our website at c2crea.com. And I'm so glad to have you guys with me. You guys are an awesome team of individuals who really want to make a difference, who really want to change your lives. And some of you have a full-time job, as many of us who start into our investing careers, who want to maybe go a little bit more full-time into investing, maybe not keep our jobs long term. Maybe that's your goal, and you're having a difficult time getting started because you have such a commitment to your day job, right? You have such a commitment to that, and you're frustrated, you're confused, you're, who knows, distracted. You can't find that clarity because you have these responsibilities. And I want to let you know that there is hope, because when I started this whole thing, I had a full-time job too. I would leave the house every day. I would go to the office. I wouldn't punch in because that's not the kind of job that I had. But I did have to go to the office and be there all day, and I had to figure out a way to manage my time so that I could start growing my real estate investing business and my career, because I felt that that's what I needed to do. I needed to get out of the current situation that I was at, and not because I disliked insurance per se. It was more because of my work environment and situation and who I was working with, and it just was something that I wasn't happy at, and I knew that it had no future in it. So I had to create a different avenue, and that meant sacrifice, and it still means sacrifice now. And what do I mean by that? Well, that means that you're going to have to get up a little bit earlier. That means specifically for me, I have to stay up a little bit later, because I'm much better at getting up or staying up late than I am at getting up really early. So I've always been more of a night owl. That's why the goals that I write down every day, I write down that I'm an early riser, because it has to be something that I visualize and conceptualize and think about on a regular basis, and put that energy forth towards that, so that it becomes a regular reality, and it becomes something that's second nature, and that just happens. Some people have the ability to just jump out of bed, and maybe they go to bed early. I know some of my friends go to bed at like 9 o'clock, And I'm just like, man, I didn't expect to do that even when I'm in my 80s. You know what I mean? My dad doesn't go to bed at 9 o'clock, and he's 86. So, so definitely there's some sacrifices that you're going to have to make, especially if you have another job, another occupation, another responsibility that requires and demands of your time, while still building your business as a real estate investor. So there is hope, because I resigned last year in July completely from my insurance position and went full time into investing. And ironically, now I'm finding myself in a position where I'm being asked to cater to the real estate investing community with some of my previous insurance skills and background. And I can tell you guys about that in a whole nother webinar. But it's actually an exciting opportunity and a position as well. Yes, thank you, Mike. Yeah, my dad, man, he's my hero. He's my hero. I got to tell you that him and Jesus. That's what I've always said. Who are my heroes? Who are the people that I look up to the most? Is my dad, because he's a remarkable type of person, and there are not any, if really certainly not many like him out there. So I'm very blessed for any time that I have with him. Okay, so what is the overview that we're going to talk about tonight? And just so you know, we're going to probably spend a total of maybe about an hour together. I promise not to keep you 2 hours. My webinars have been a little bit shorter recently because of other commitments with my daughter's school and everything like that. But happy to say that you guys have me for the complete time, and we'll do some Q&A. I'll unmute you guys. We'll have some interaction and stuff later on towards the end of the webinar. So you have my undivided support and attention for the next hour or so. All right. So we're going to go over what it takes to rehab from a distance. And one of the reasons that I put this webinar together is because when I first started rehabbing houses, I was having a difficult time getting deals under contract real close, right? Because I wanted to be the one who was there. I wanted to be the one to go over the design and what's going to happen here and what's going to happen there, and look at the progress and be there on a week by week basis. And after spinning my wheels for a while, and definitely putting in the offers, and definitely going out there and making it happen, and connecting and reviewing listing after listing after listing that people were sending me, and oftentimes from my treadmill, while I set up a shelf on my ladder in front of my treadmill, so when I get done working out, I was still working. I took my computer out there. I built my own gym here in my house, and I take my computer out there with me. And what was I doing while I was on my treadmill? I was looking at listings. I was looking at deals that were sent over to me that day, and I got pretty good at estimating repairs just by looking at the pictures. So that's going to be one of the key factors, especially if you're rehabbing from a distance, is that whoever your power team members are, whether it's your realtor or your contractor, that you're getting upfront full set of pictures. Because if you get enough pictures of the subject property, you're going to be able to say, okay, well, it definitely needs this, it definitely needs that. You might be able to tell that it needs a roof, it's got a leak, it needs all these different things, and then you kind of overestimate to give yourself some safety, so that you can calculate your offer in a matter that is going to be competitive, but leaves you enough safety in there. And then once you have the offer accepted, then of course that's when you have your contractor go in and actually do all the proper estimations of the repairs. All right, we're going to go a little bit into how to judge your market. We're going to talk a little bit about the MLS versus the hidden seller markets. We'll discuss what makes a market, what you must know when getting started, how to market to investors and buyers, what documents we use for checks and balances, and what markets we are in and why. And that kind of changes periodically. It expands, and started here in Southern California, in San Diego County, and then I left and went to Indiana and Kansas City, and then most recently Atlanta. And now we find ourselves back in looking at a deal here in Los Angeles Hills, just because it kind of came up. It came across my desk, and we decided to take a little bit closer look. And we have an offer in today at 1.5 150, and we're hoping that that we get it under contract because it's got huge potential. So the markets fluctuate, and we'll talk about them and why I like them and what we're doing in there. And some of this is going to be some review probably for some of you because you've been through trainings, you've been through different things. But just bear with me. I will not spend too much time on a lot of these points. But if you do want me to go into further detail, just go ahead and type it in there into the question mark or question box, and I'd be happy to go into further detail. So what does it take? It takes time. Okay, and that's not a surprise to any of you. Some people just want to be able to get in there and have it done for them, and that's just not the reality. And in the beginning, especially when you have no money and when you have nothing, maybe not even necessarily all the right education, one of the things that is going to require of you is time. And we kind of touched earlier on the whole aspect of sacrifice, and that's going to be one of the biggest points of equity that you're going to be able to invest or sacrifice, and that's going to be your time. And I know Kenneth is no stranger to sacrificing his time, because I see him getting up early, I see him staying up late, I see him getting things done because they need to be done. And even if they get done later, well, you know what? At least it got done, and he dedicates that time. So that's awesome. So you're gonna need time. You're gonna need knowledge. Okay, and that's where the critical point in anything, in any of your success, is going to be having the right knowledge. And that's when you're starting out, and that's when you continue to be a continuous learner. Okay, as you strive towards peak performance, as you strive to be one of the best in your field, as you strive to be in the top 10% of your chosen field and industry, it requires you to expand your knowledge. And the results around you don't get better unless you get better. And in order to get paid more, you must know more. You must make yourself more valuable. And the only way that you can do that is through continual and never-ending knowledge and progression. So that's why I admonish everybody to start your day with something educational and motivational and inspirational. And if you can't start your day, well, make sure that you do it sometime later in the day. And that's what I was doing just before my webinar. Is I got out my book because I didn't get a chance to read it this morning, and I was reading a few pages, getting it done, because leaders are readers, and majority of readers, if you're reading the right stuff, you do become a leader. So knowledge, plug into those who know more than you, and plug into the material that's going to give you the knowledge that you need. Be willing to sacrifice your money and your time for it. Be willing to invest in yourself to get that knowledge that you need. There's going to be a need for credit. It doesn't have to be your credit, as you all very well know, and you're going to need money. And again, it does not need to be your money. And other than the money that I invest in my education, I have not invested any of my own money in any of the deals that I have ever done. And that's the way I like it. That's the way I'm going to continue to do it. And for various reasons. One, it's kind of restrictive. I mean, in this deal, we need about $1.5 million. And here's one of the reasons why I left California. Okay, so now here we are looking at a deal that's $1.5 million, and it's one deal. And it just so happens, now that I think about it, that last year and a little bit through this year, I had about $1.5 million total invested in Indianapolis in about 12 different flips. So here we go. Here's 12 flips versus one flip. And granted, in this particular case, the upside can be pretty huge. So it's worth it. But again, you're tying up a considerable amount of money. And well, if you don't have $1.5 million, well, guess what? You're not going to do the deal, right? So we don't like that. So you got to know how to work with money, how to find money, how to get people to invest in you and with you, and develop those relationships, because it's definitely a relationships-based business. This particular deal here is actually the first time ever that I'm dealing with a hard money lender, and that I'm working with a hard money lender. I've done all my deals cash. Never worked with a hard money lender before, but guess what? I developed a very good relationship with More Financial, who's based here out of downtown LA, and we became friends, and we're talking about doing other business deals together and starting another funding company together. So guess who I'm going to go to, and guess who's going to give me some favorable treatment, and guess who's going to be able to, give me the ability to leverage certain things that they wouldn't offer to somebody else, because I spent the time developing that relationship, improving myself out there in the industry, putting myself out there, making sure everybody can see what I do and who I am, and so forth. So you're going to need money, and that's one of the things that really interests me, and really, I don't know, I made it my goal in the beginning that that's what I was going to do. I was going to raise money. I was going to work with private money, and of course, developing those skills and communication skills and being able to put together a decent presentation. And it all goes back to that knowledge, be able to present yourself properly. Connections and relationships. Of course, every single one of you know that. Every single one of you know our basic model for Coast to Coast has always been creating connections and relationships for ourselves, and so that we can help other people leverage off of them also, so that we can become a hub. When we first started our very first REIA club, I was already flipping houses, and we were to a point where I didn't really know anything about marketing. I still I still don't rely. That's not my skill set. That's not my wheelhouse. So I don't depend on myself for marketing. I have other people around me. As you guys know, Pete's very good at marketing, and he's passionate about the marketing. So we decided that, what, we do need to grow our network. So hey, let's start a REIA club. And any opportunity, of course, that Pete gets to talk to somebody and gets in front of people, and somebody can listen to him talk, and he can hear himself talk, well, that's a good time for Pete. So he said, well, let's start a REIA club. And so we started a REIA club, and believe it or not, the very first meeting we had one person there, and it was at a Starbucks. And but you know what? I looked at it from a perspective. I was like, oh man, we had one person here. And Pete was like, man, that was awesome. Like, you have no idea what opportunity there is here, right? And so there's the different perspectives, right? That's why Pete and I are such good partners, because he's a dreamer, vision guy. I'm more of a rational, get things done kind of guy, and so we balance each other off very well. And and that's what you want in a partnership. You want people with good skills that aren't necessarily the same, that you encourage each other to improve your weak points, right? I didn't used to do webinars. I didn't ever want to necessarily sit here and hear myself talk in my own ears, getting plugged in and all that kind of stuff. But it's great because it got me to step out of my comfort zone. It's gotten him to step out of his comfort zone, and we've been able to create tens of thousands of relationships and connections nationwide, and allow other people to come in and essentially plug into our hub and tie into our resources, and that draws more people to us, so that there's more opportunities for everybody else. And it's just a very, very cool thing. And some of you are in even deeper on some of these things, and it's awesome. I'm part of the family. And lastly, you're going to need faith, right? Because without faith, nothing happens. And unfortunately, the bad part about any business is the people, right? If it wasn't for the people, people wouldn't get burned, people wouldn't get ripped off and stolen from, and all kinds of negative things. But if it wasn't for the people, you wouldn't get anything done either, right? So it's just putting the right people around you, and we can't do anything without people. So we have to be able to put our faith in others, especially when they're 3 hours away, or 5 states away, or all the way on the East Coast. You have to put your faith in other people, and nothing happens without it. You have to put your faith in your realtors. You have to put your faith in your contractors. You have to put your faith in your private money lenders. You have to have faith that they're going to follow through. You have to have faith that your inspectors do a good job. You have to have faith that your realtor is going to be able to sell the house, and that they're not just giving you fake comps so that they can get a deal and make some money up front. And then and believe it or not, like, it's as a bad business as it is, people are out there that go and they underbid jobs just so they can get the job, and then they get some stuff done, and then you end up getting holding the bag, and then you go and realize that, man, the pictures weren't what they were supposed to be. And so there's a lot of faith aspects here. And because of faith, it allows us to get a lot of things done. And because of faith, sometimes, we get burned because I don't know. I think that might be one of my weaknesses is I always try or do my best to give people the benefit of the doubt until they give me a reason not to. And I'm a pretty decent judge of character, but man, there's just something inside of me that sometimes even when I get a kind of a bad feeling, I fight against it. Like, no, you know what? I'm gonna give this person a chance, and maybe I need to break out of that a little bit. But and I have. I mean, business hardens you a little bit, and I'm more than willing to share my failures with people, because if it wasn't for my failures, I wouldn't be the person that I am now, and I wouldn't be ready to handle the bigger things that have come my way, and the much bigger things that I know are coming, and the great things that we're building together with like I told you guys, the new core group of people. Very excited to have Scott, like I mentioned, as part of our team now to help us build our brand and add that part of things. And whenever you find somebody that shares your vision and shares your values, and you do this dance, right, where you have to do this dance with the new relationships that you get into, because you want to trust people, right? Because nothing happens without trust. But at the same time, you remember that you've been burned before, you've been hurt before, right? So you tread kind of lightly, but man, you cannot allow that fear of everything that happens. Every bad thing that happens prevent you from moving forward again. And I've met people like that. It's like, yeah, I've tried it, I got burned. Now I'm just gonna work for somebody else, and that's fine. That's comfortable. That's safe. That's whatever it is. But you know what? You'll just never get to that part. You'll never get to your you'll never achieve your dream. Your I don't know, man. I don't know how to describe it. Like you're zen. As hard as this business is, if you're doing what you want to do, and with the people that you want to do it with, and going through the struggles and everything else, understanding that you're working every single day to improve yourself and who you are, it's worth it. It's worth it. Even if you there's people out there that don't want to quit their jobs. They're perfectly happy doing what they're doing. They just want a little bit more, and that's fine too. That's what we talk about, entrepreneurship and developing all those different skills and finding a balance, and yeah, thank you, Mike. You do have to have a big heart, and unfortunately, sometimes people step on it, and don't let that stop you from having that big heart. Don't let that stop you from putting your heart out there, and because that's just what they want. That's the enemy doing his dirty work. So anyway, I know I segued a little bit, but you got to have that passion, guys. You got to have that faith in yourself also, and of course, if it wasn't for the people. All right, so let's talk just a little bit about how do you judge your market. All right? Again, we're going to go over some of these very quickly, because days on market, right? If you're looking to flip, your days on market got to be reasonably low, preferably under 60 days if possible, depending on what market it is and what time of year those comps are from. Like in the Midwest, where there's a thing called weather that we don't really know too much about here in the West Coast. If those comps come in kind of the slow selling season, which is anytime after September, then you can't use those as a dead gauge, because if 90 days on market during the winter is not going to be that bad in the Midwest. So just consider when you're doing it, and then when you're getting into different flip projects, know that you have a limited window that's like your prime selling time. So right now we're looking to pick up a property in Atlanta that will hopefully close on next week. And we know that if it's going to take us a couple of months to rehab it, well, now we're going to be into July, and so we have like 2 months basically left in the prime selling season. So we gotta do what we can to get everything dialed in, and get it on the market, and get those things done in less than 60 days. So just know and consider where you are when you're considering days on market. And then, of course, if you're looking to do more of a fix and hold or buy a turnkey property, then you don't necessarily care that the days on market are longer, because that's exactly what you're buying for. You're buying it for the cash flow. You're not buying it for the ability to sell it quickly. All right. Well, I don't know why that came up. Your average spread, of course, is important. And what we're talking about there is what is the ARV. Once you calculate your ARV versus what the list price is, or what they want to sell it for, you have to be able to calculate your average spread pretty quickly. And here in California, for example, if I'm looking at a $300,000 house, and or ARV, but a lot of them we're buying them for like 230, 210, 250. If the initial spread, like when I first did my calculation, if the initial spread was not at least $100,000, my gross spread, so say I'm purchasing the house for $230,000 and the ARV is $330,000, if it wasn't at least that, I didn't even move on to the next step, because I knew that after holding it, after rehabbing it, after everything else, that was going to be too thin for me. So that was one way that I was able to kind of discard a lot of the stuff that came across my desk, because all right, well, here's a initial gross spread of $60,000. Well, there's nothing there, right? Especially not if I want to make $30,000-$40,000 on a $300,000, $350,000, $400,000 house, which, by the way, is not too much to ask. And you shouldn't be making $10,000 on a $400,000 house. So your average spread is one really quick ninja trick and indicator to figure out, okay, is this worth looking any further into or not? When you're getting into your lower end properties, that rule does not necessarily apply the same. And of course, when you're getting into your higher end properties, it doesn't necessarily apply the same. So you got to tailor it to depending on what value property you're looking for. But in the Midwest, for example, this property in Atlanta is very similar to the ones that I did in Indy, where we're buying it for $25,000, and the after repair value is about 125, 130. Being conservative. So that's a pretty decent initial gross spread, right? You know that you're going to have some room to look further into the situation. It's going to be worth your time to take it to the next step. All right, so what we can do here is I can actually take you guys to it's a website called FHFA.gov, and I will exit this presentation so I can take you guys there and actually show you what this looks like. And I should have. All right, and sorry for you guys listening on the podcast that you can't see this. I will do my best to describe some of the information, but it's page not found. That's always nice. All right, so anyway, in the FHFA.gov, what you can do is go into that site, and it gives you the housing affordability index. And what that does is it lets you know what areas in the country are going to be the most affordable. So it'll show you the difference between what the income to down payment ratios. So, and it gives you a scale of most affordable to least affordable. And I think the Bay Area is one of the least affordable areas to live in, where it requires the down payment is going to require like 76% of a person's annual income, whereas other places like Indiana, you're talking like in the 20-some% of your the average annual income. So you can see if you're trying to select a market and you're not really quite sure where you're getting yourself into, that's one tool that you can use. And why is that important? Well, because you want to be able to sell your houses, and you want to be able to make sure that you're doing it in areas where it's affordable, where people can actually afford to buy houses there, where there's going to be affordable housing programs, etc. So that's one reason why you could use that tool. And let's see. Now, if you go to, let me skip up to the next one here. Got it. Sorry, guys. I don't know why I'm having an issue here. Scott, I think, can sympathize with me. He's not a huge technology wizard. I don't know why that link didn't work. Let's see. Hopefully this one will be good. Okay, here we go. So realestateconsulting.com, and you go to Metro Stats. The cool thing about this particular tool is that you can go down again any state in the nation, and you can see the activity in the different areas. So whether it's Alabama, I wouldn't necessarily suggest going to Alaska, but you can go here by state, and then it filters down um, by city, of course. So let's just take Georgia for example, since we're there. Well, look at this. Look at this freaking number right here. Oh my gosh. So you go to Atlanta, then you see that there has been nearly 48,000 people in the last whatever this year that has grown in. There's been number of permits per month that are being pulled is almost 12,000 permits. Now, what does that tell you? That tells you that it's a hot area, right? That tells you there's a lot of construction, a lot of things going on in that area. And you can go through here and be like, oh man, well, Lewiston, Idaho probably isn't that good a place to go because it had like 31 permits pulled, right? So it's just another little tool that you can use to survey different places across the country. You can go again by state and breaks it down by city. I know there's been a lot of stuff going on in Ohio, and you can just kind of track what's going on. And you can come here and it gives you updated information. I think they update their information on a regular basis on this site. But realestateconsulting.com is kind of a cool little website. It gives you a lot of different little tools. Okay, and then of course Zillow.com. And the cool thing about Zillow.com, even though you can't really use it for values, there's estimates and everything else. Oops, now the link works. It's a cool little way to kind of reverse engineer the MLS. And this is what I do also with the real MLS when I talk to realtors and actually go and sit in realtors' offices, is because you can search for a specific subject property that you have, and you can kind of look at the solds in the area. And again, it's not going to be the most accurate, the most up to date. I've always found comps on the MLS that I can't find on Zillow. I don't know if there's a specific delay or what it is, but what you can do is if you want to get into a certain area and a certain market, you can punch in the recent solds, and then you can filter by however many days ago did it sell, and then do a map and zoom out. And the cool thing that you'll notice is that in every specific area, there will be a little clustering of those yellow houses. And when you map it out in the actual MLS, the way that you can do that, you'll see the same thing. You'll see a cluster of houses that are sold. And what that tells you is that those specific areas in those cities or towns or townships are the areas where people are buying houses in. They're the areas that are moving and that are being developed and modernized and beautified and whatever you want to call it. Mike says that he can help me with my technology issues. I appreciate that. So Zillow.com is definitely a decent tool to get some preliminary work done on it. Okay, don't depend on it, don't rely on it, but it's a good little thing to look at. One thing I love about it is that in many cases, it'll give you parcel information, which is useful. In many cases, it'll also give you a direct link to the county website where you can find more information, which is a lot easier than figuring out, okay, well, what county is this house in, and then Googling, Gwinnett County tax assessor, and then having to go and you know what I mean? So it centralizes, here's your parcel number already. It'll give you a link to the county website. You can copy and paste that parcel number in there. You can get a lot of good information that way off of Zillow, and to help on your due diligence. And I was using it last night, as a matter of fact. I was getting tax information, so I know what the last year's property taxes were, and look up to see if there's a current tax bill for 2014, because when we close on this house, we're going to be responsible for the, before we sell it, for at least the the next 6 months worth of taxes. And so I want to know what that looks like. In certain areas you get huge taxes, other areas, well, it's only $300. So you want to know all that information, because you have to factor it into your closing costs and your total costs. So it can be a good little tool to use that way. Okay. Okay. So everybody knows the MLS. What it's the largest listing service out there. Of course, that's where most people look. That's where most of the competition is. If we can avoid it, we do. Does that mean that there aren't people on there making tons of money and making a killing and finding all kinds of deals on the MLS? Of course not. Of course there are, and many of them have the right relationships and things of that nature. So don't disregard the MLS. Definitely use it, but we prefer, whenever possible, to find some non-conventional ways to get our deals. Some people are still very successful using bandit signs. Some people still go ahead and use yellow letters. Now, bandit signs are probably one of the least expensive marketing methods. Yellow letters are considerably more expensive because postage just keeps going crazier and crazier and crazier. But I know people using those methods and having success. Some people make fun of them because that's not what they do, and you know what? I don't criticize anybody's methods, if as long as it's working for them. You know what I mean? But you gotta try things in order to see whether or not they work for you. And I know some very 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 successful real estate investors that spend huge amounts of money in marketing. And one of the smarter ones, one of my favorite ones, is Phil Grove. And with his program, one of the things that he did was he created a marketing syndication pool, so that the people that have $5,000 a month to spend on marketing can jump in there, along with the people that have maybe $100 a month in marketing. And then you get into this pool, and then what ends up happening is all this money gets pooled together to buy marketing funds and leads and different things, and send letters out, all these different things. And then when the leads come in, then the leads are dispersed proportionately to the percentage of money that you put into that marketing pool. So it's kind of neat. So anyway, city organizations, obviously, if you know people that are connected with people like the mayor and the assessor's office, and they may be able to give you some good leads. I picked up some pretty good leads, off market leads, from some charitable organizations that were donated, had some houses donated to them, and they didn't know what to do with them. They weren't developers, and they've been sitting there for a couple of years, and I'd be glad to take those off your hands. Some crazy people have used sign twirlers. Property managers can be a lead source. Of course, your realtors, if you have a good relationship with a realtor, pocket deals, etc. Scott found another pretty good one that is progressive. She's a hard worker. She doesn't mind door knocking, apparently, and so I mean, that can be a very very good asset for you to have. Mortgage brokers, of course, because they see some notes that start going delinquent, and you can offer a solution. Hey, instead of going to foreclosure, instead of going to short sale, which, regardless of what people tell you, as far as your credit is concerned, a short sale jacks you up just about as bad as a foreclosure. So, you if you can avoid any of those things, here's a solution, Mr. Property Owner. You may just see if you want to talk to this guy and see if it works. So it can be a good lead source. All right, so some more review. What makes a market? A hold market. Of course, we talked about days on market. It doesn't necessarily have to have a low days on market, but when you're talking about wanting to have an exit strategy where you're going to sell to an investor instead of a retail owner occupant, you're going to want to give them at least a 1% rule, or fit the 1% rule, because that's what most investors would be looking for, as long as they're not specifically looking for an appreciation play, which is what a lot of people do here in the California markets, where properties do not cash flow here. Okay, believe it or not, they don't cash flow here, even though people want to own rentals here, they just don't cash flow. And the 1% rule simply means that if you buy a property for $100,000, you better be getting at least $1,000 a month in rent or better. There are markets out there where you can beat the 2% rule, so they're out there. The flip market, of course, short days on market and a good spread. You can find areas and pockets where you can do both as an extra strategy. And then your creative strategy markets, which of course is anything in between. So what does that mean? So now you're doing maybe assisted living facilities. You're getting creative with what you're using those properties for, and you can find all those within the same market in many cases. All right, so what must you know when getting started? Well, one is that I need to take a drink right now. All right. So here's the first shocker. What must you know when getting started? Well, it's gonna be hard. Okay, some of you guys have started. Some of you guys have had some successes. Some of you guys are just barely starting out. And if you haven't figured it out by now, it's gonna be hard. It's not this rainbows and fairy tales and you're gonna make your first mid-high 5-figure payday in 45 days type of thing that you hear all over the place. Okay, it's gonna be hard. It's gonna test you. It's gonna challenge you. It's gonna oftentimes require you. Well, not oftentimes, every single time. Okay, this is going to require you to become a different person. You're going to have to transform into, in many ways, a better person, a better entrepreneur, one kind of, a person who is better built to handle these things, and that only comes through experience and through trials and through tribulations and through trial and error and all those different things. But it's going to be difficult. It's going to be hard on you. You're going to have to sacrifice. You're going to have to make mistakes. You're going to have to fall on your face. You're going to have days where you don't know what the heck is going to happen. You're going to have gut checks where it's just like, man, what am I going to do here? Like, when I had my investors' money out there and it was well over $1 million, like sometimes I just sat there and I was just like, man, like, that's crazy. Like, I can't really, man. And I had one investor send me over $500,000 directly to my account, and I didn't want that. I didn't know. I'm just like, man, that's gonna be like an accounting nightmare for me. And I didn't want that to happen again. Now it was kind of a great thing for me in the sense that, wow, it's amazing that somebody who really is not part of my family or anything. It's somebody that I did develop a relationship with, but he's certainly not anything more to me than a colleague, so to speak. You know what I mean? And here he is dumping all this cash in my account, trusting that I'm not gonna screw him over, which of course I'm not. And wow. But there's going to be a lot of gut check moments. And are you doing the right thing? Are you making the right decision? Did you check your things right? And did you double check them again? And he's like, man, okay, well, I'm not going to. That's where a lot of people get stuck, is they check and they check and they check and they check and they double check and they double check, and then they just never pull the trigger. So in order for you to pull the trigger, you're going to have to do what's hard. All right, next thing, it's going to be simple, but it's not going to be easy. All right, I want you guys to understand there's a point here. All right, none of this is rocket science, okay? And one of the wonderful things that I've learned, and I have Brian Tracy to thank for this in many different ways, but, besides the fact that not everybody can be an entrepreneur, okay, let me just put that out there. Not everybody can be an entrepreneur. And we talked about this at the Thought Leadership Conference this year. And some people have it in them. Some people are just born with it and it just spills out of them. And some people will just never be an entrepreneur. They'll never be able to cross that barrier, right, to get there. Some people, can get it out of them. It can be coaxed, it can be encouraged, it can be built because it's in there. You just have to tear the walls down and get that entrepreneur out of there. But some people just won't. Now, on the other side, the good news, and this is the awesome thing, and if you get this deep inside, I mean, it'll make a difference in your life. But every single business skill, okay, any real estate investing strategy, any sales technique, any closing technique, any speaking technique, any personal communication skills, all those different things, those are all business skills. And any business skill can be learned. All right, so anything that you need to know to become that amazing whatever it is that you want to be can be learned. Is within your grasp. All you have to do is make the sacrifice and invest in yourself and go out there and do it. Figure out what it is what that is. Figure out what one skill, if I focused on it and perfected it and became an expert at it, will make the biggest difference in my life right now. And guess what? It can be learned. And thousands and millions of other people out there have done it before you. So you can do it. That's the good news. So it's simple, but it's not going to be easy. You're going to have challenges. Okay, guess what? Are you seeing a theme here? You're going to have challenges. And some of the challenges that I've had, for example, is I've had money stolen from me. I've had air conditioning units stolen from me. I've had refrigerators and water heaters stolen from me. I've had places vandalized. I've been embezzled from. Those are pretty significant challenges, right? And again, because if it wasn't for people, no, but but guess what? I'm still here. And we're still doing great things, and we're doing better things, and we learn. And you know what? You might burn me, but you're only going to burn me once, and then that's gonna be it. And guess what? It's going to be worse for you in the end. The good things. Well, I'm telling you some of the good things, Mike. I just want you to know that these things are real, because you've already heard a bunch of the good things, not just from me, but from all kinds of different people out there. So I would highly recommend that you get mentors around you. And not everybody can be a mentor, but mentors come in many different shapes and sizes and skill levels and stuff like that. Love you guys too. So just find somebody that you can learn from. Always be reaching upwards, okay? As much as you can. Okay, be reaching upwards so that you can learn, so that and I'm blessed to say that I've had a lot of people that I can learn from, and whether I know them personally or not, they're out there, and guess what? They've been there for thousands of years. And if you study the lives of the successful and the amazing people, and the people that have changed the world, and that have accomplished some amazing things before us, all that information is there. That's why leaders are readers, and they don't go read nonfiction or I'm sorry, fiction or escapism. They go read about what these amazing people have done. And one of the reasons that I love Kansas City so much is because some of the best people are out there, and the one man that I would consider my ultimate mentor, who's just amazing, is out there. So get mentors around you, because man, when things get rough and when you need some direction, somewhere to turn to, like you gotta have those people. And I'm my only, I mean, it's not a regret in my life because I didn't really have control over it, but you hear those great stories of the apprentice and the master, right? And the guy, the apprentice, comes in, and maybe he's not getting paid, but he's getting paid by learning, and his master takes him under his wing, and they become this great thing in the industry, whether it's real estate or whatever. I mean, Carnegie was one of those who had an amazing mentor, and many of those big names did. And guess what, man? Like, where were those people? And one of the guys that I met at the Thought Leadership Conference last year, that's one of the things that he started, was a foundation for youth. So for middle school and high school kids, to teach them about investing, to teach them about entrepreneurship, to teach them all these different things, like specifically. And she's like, man, where were you guys when I was a teen? You know, my dad did the best that he could. My dad's always done his own thing. He's never worked for anybody, as long as I ever knew him. And I don't know. I don't. Yeah, I'm sure at some point he did, but you know, I had his example, but I didn't really have. It wasn't an area that I was interested in. Let's just put it that way. You know, my dad has a doctorate in archaeology. He loves history and art, so he was a you know, he dealt in antiquities and all that kind of stuff. And you know, it just never interested me. It interests the heck out of me now, but but yeah, it just didn't then. So yeah, Scott has a good point. Make sure that the mentor understands you want to learn. Well, and here's the interesting thing about that. And they say, and you've heard it said before, is when the student is ready, the teacher shall appear. And there's a point where you get to where you're just not teachable, right? And so two axioms that I work very hard to live by are these. One, always remain teachable. And what does that mean? Well, it doesn't matter what circumstance you're in. It doesn't matter how much you think you know about a certain thing. It doesn't matter if you're in a situation where you think you know more, or maybe somebody's speaking about something that disagrees with your viewpoints or even your belief system. Remain teachable. Don't be so quick to just shut yourself off to what a specific person is saying because it doesn't agree with your values per se, or with the way that you think about something. Because as long as you allow yourself to take it in, to listen and analyze it properly, and then make a decision, you'll remain teachable, and in many cases you will learn, and you will be edified by that experience. And the second thing is always be willing to accept change, because without change, nothing changes in your life, right? So if you want things in your life to change, you have to change things in your life. And most people fight and resist change. Most people fight and resist being teachable. And so when you're out there, when you're learning different things, I would suggest and recommend to you that you think, you know what, don't ever think that, hey, I got it, right? Because that's when your mentor or your teacher might be like, oh, you got it, okay, well, you know what, I guess you're done learning. I guess you are now, your teachability index is now at a 0, and you want your teachability index to always be at a 10, right? Because that's when you're most teachable. And they teach these concepts and everything, like in the Freemasons and some of the secret societies, and you know, you can't get to a second or third or fourth or fifth, or you know, all the way up to a 33-degree Mason if your mentor doesn't think that you're ready. And he'll stop teaching you. They'll stop teaching you when you hit those barriers where your teachability index drops. And so it's a good point. Make sure that he understands that you want to learn, but it's up to you to remain teachable and to remain open, and so that your mentors around you can see that you are willing to learn, and that you are teachable, and that you're open, and that you're eager. That's one frustration that a mentor has. And not that I consider myself a mentor, so to speak, but I have mentored people in various different ways and various different reasons. And when we care more about your success or about your learning and about the subject that we're trying to help you with, and we're having to chase you down to teach you, well, guess what? Then that's not going to last for very long. All right, because when you have to care more about it than us, okay, you have to be the one chasing the mentor, not the other way around. And that's one of the ways that I was able to get to certain places, is because I beat the doors down in different places. I hounded people, I called them, I emailed them, I did different things, and I showed that I was interested, and so you got to do that. All right. Yeah, I'm having a little bit of fun, Mike. How about you? The next point, of course, is get around as many super connectors as possible. I really don't have to tell you guys this. I mean, I see everybody who's on this call, and you guys already do that. We consider ourselves, and one of our goals was and is to be a super connector, to be a hub of resources and support and connections, and surrounding ourselves with as many experts as possible, for our own benefit and for the benefit of everybody else around us, so that we can connect you with people. And so, I think you being connected to us definitely is a good thing, and we love having you as part of our connections as well. All right. So again, moving on to marketing to investors and buyers. Excuse me. All right. So some of you have seen part of this before, and I should probably just quit saying that because you're going to see it anyway. But connections and relationships obviously is key. You got to know that you're already connected with people that can help you. Okay, all around you, not just us and your Facebook people and your social media people, but in your physical lives, you are connected with people that can help you. Okay, so you gotta figure out where those relationships are and learn how to flex those relationships, learn how to present yourself, learn how to speak well about what it is that you're doing and what you want to accomplish. And the only way that you'll be able to do that is by, one, learning the material as well as you can, and two, having a clear and distinct vision of what that looks like. Because if you don't even know what it looks like, how are you going to share that vision in a way that is infectious and contagious with other people? Now, I don't want to get involved in your deal, and I don't want to give you my money, and I don't want to joint venture with you if you can't get excited about something because you don't have a clear picture or vision about it. And that goes with any topic. Okay, it doesn't matter what it is. It can be the most boring thing in the world, and something that doesn't make you comfortable or you're uncomfortable about. But I guarantee you that if you spend enough time learning as much as you can about that particular thing, at some point you will dig deep enough to where you'll find something interesting, and you'll be like, oh man, wow, like I didn't know that. Like that's really cool. And you'll be able to get excited about something for even if it's just for a minute, and be like, hey man, check this out. Didn't you know what I mean? So if it's something that you really are interested about, and there are many interesting things about it, and it's exciting because not only do you understand it, but you see how by wrapping all those things together and implementing those things into your life and into your business and into everything else, you can create a value for anybody that would get involved. And you can see yourself in that house, or on that vacation, or driving that car, or helping that charity, or your church, or your family, or helping your other downcast friends become more successful, and all those wonderful things, your whys, right? And you can plug them in together. Now you become a magnet. Now you become somebody that people want to hear more about. Like, man, like what kind of juice are you on? Like, let me see it. Yeah, I'm on life, baby. I'm on my dreams. Like, you want to see it? You want to see my dreams? I write those puppies down every single day, and this is the vehicle. These are the things that I'm doing in order to get there. Now you got my attention. Now I might want to get involved with you. Okay, well, show me more. And that's where you want to get to is, okay, well, show me more. What's the next step? What else? What do we do from here? But you're never going to get to that point if you don't get yourself and other people there, right? And one thing that I've said to people is that sales gets a bad rap, okay? Because when you talk about sales and salespeople, sometimes you see you get a vision of a greasy used car salesperson, right? But what you have to understand is that every single person is in sales. Everybody's a salesperson. You're either being sold something or you're selling something. And sometimes what you're selling is your vision. And the way that you're selling that, because when you whittle it down to its most basic form, sales is nothing more than a transfer of enthusiasm. So if you're not enthusiastic, well, guess what I'm going to think? I'm going to think that you have a crappy ass product, right? You have a crappy product or service, or vision or dream or investment opportunity or whatever it is. It's just not a good. It's not good. So why would I want to be involved if you're not even excited about it? You haven't even sold yourself on it yet. You have no conviction about it. And sometimes what that takes is just further understanding. Learn it more, understand it, how to talk about it. Okay. And that's part of where a good property presentation comes in, because you can put that stuff on paper. You're going to use a promissory note in many cases. You're going to need a joint venture agreement in most cases. You're going to have to be able to offer a lien position. If you're dealing with cash only, then of course that's going to be a first trust deed or first lien position. You're going to want a good social media and online presence so that you can show everybody how awesome you are. And be careful. Okay, it always cracks me up when I hear things. Well, I was going to say the news, but I don't watch the news and I don't have cable. So when I hear about things through the grapevine about this person being fired because of something on their social media, or this celebrity getting caught because they tweeted this or that, or like that is your image. Okay, that is your brand. You have to protect it. Don't be posting pictures of you throwing up outside of some club somewhere, or saying some kind of slanderous remark, or like, you gotta watch what you say. Okay, the world is a tiny, tiny, tiny space now. Everybody sees what you're doing. You gotta present the image that you want to put out there to attract anything that you want to attract, and then things will start coming to you. Okay, just an example, just a random example that just came to my mind right now. Um, I got asked on Twitter. Again, I don't even spend time on Twitter. First of all, okay, I have my Facebook account linked to Twitter, so a lot of my tweets come from my Facebook and stuff like that, because it's just, I only have so much time in the day. And I got a message on Twitter from this guy that has a national program. He's been featured in Newsweek and like some pretty major accolades. And he's asking me if I'd be willing to come speak on one of his podcasts. I've never spoken to the guy. I don't know who he is. We've never met, but he's seeing my image online. He's seeing the things that I focus on. I'm putting my values out there. I'm putting out there what I do, how I help people, what I'm involved in, and you can see those things. And I'm very careful about what I do and say. For me, it's easy. Okay, don't take this the wrong way for me saying this, but for me, it's easy because I'm an open book. I'm very transparent, and I am who I am. So it doesn't take any really extra effort for me to not swear, and for me to not be vulgar, and for me to not be prejudiced and rude and all these different things, because that is not who I am. I'm not putting a fake persona out there, and so it's easy for me to do those things. But I'm always very mindful of it, because it can be, you can get sucked into certain things sometimes, and that happens a lot on social media. So be careful out there. Use it to your best advantage, because that's what it's there for. Social media is meant to really create your brand and propel yourself to the next level, because your biggest problem is not necessarily your product or service, or what it is that you're doing, or the investing strategies that you choose, or anything like that. One of your biggest problems as a small business owner or entrepreneur is obscurity. So you have to get out there and let people know what it is that you're doing, what you want to accomplish. And that's one of the reasons for putting goals out there, right? For talking about your goals, not just because it keeps them in the forefront of your minds, and it gets you, vibrating in a resonance that's going to create the things necessary in your life for all those different things to align. And really what ends up happening, is people get in your life. And when people hear, you're doing this, or you need that, or you know what I mean, you're putting it out there, those things will happen where somebody will say, oh, well, I can help you with that, or hey, I was thinking about this, and man, the weirdest things happen because you're putting the right things out there and you're presenting yourself and your image in the right way. All right, hope that makes sense and is valuable to you guys. But here's a basic presentation. Again, anybody who doesn't have this, who wants something like this, just email me afterwards. If you don't have my email, I'm going to give it to you at the end, so you have to stay all the way to the end. So hopefully you guys got yourself something cold to drink. Anyway, so this is a basic presentation. I don't use it all the time now, but I did use it every single time in the beginning for probably my first 12, 15 flips. But then after a while, you get with investors that continue to invest with you, and then you get like your little area. So of course you don't have to do these things every single time. Now they understand how you work. You've already presented yourself. Now it just gets easier, right? Like, hey, I got this deal. This is the way it's going to go down. These are the numbers. Boom, boom, boom. But this is a good way to show yourself as professional. So here's the basic presentation. What you need, how much time you're gonna spend on it. This is a project that I just finished last month. It took us about 4.5 months to finish. It was actually 4 months and about 10 days because of weather, because of different things, but it turned out really, really nice. This is a before of it, and I've used this presentation or this sample many times. I just leave that picture in there, but it gives a basic investment summary, and I'm going through this fairly quickly because it's kind of self-explanatory, and I've already kept you guys here for over an hour, so I'm hopefully you guys are having enough of a good time that you don't mind. So you do the investment summary. This is all just designed to show that you value their time, that you did your due diligence, that here it is. I want to make this as clear for you as possible, and the reason that you do these things. And it kills me when people send me deals, wholesalers and different things, and they send me like, oh well, it's going to be this much to purchase it, this much to rehab it. Here's the ARV, and do you want it? It's like, really? Okay, so again, let's go back to sales again. Okay, one of the things that you want to do in sales is make it easy, or as easy as possible, for the prospect to say yes. Now, if you're giving me something, you're throwing something in my lap, and then I have to go do all the work and all the research, and now granted, I'm gonna do my own due diligence. I'm gonna verify and confirm things. But if I have to do everything, and all you did was give me an address, well, guess what? I'm not gonna be saying yes anytime soon, and I might not say yes at all. I might just say like, quit wasting my time, right? So here I'm spelling it out. I'm giving the after repair value, what the projected rehab is going to be, what the return is, what they're going to get, how much time I think it's going to take, and of course we completely underestimated that amount of time because again, there's a thing called weather, and then I had to replace a contractor on this one as well, so that shot us back quite a bit of time. Again, what the property features are. That's another one of those things that you run into sometimes. You have to replace the contractor. The breakdown, which of course this is what you kind of want to see. Like if I can't see what that looks like, it's going to be very difficult for me to make a decision. So when you have it all spelled out clearly for me, and I know that's the way kind of my mind works, but I want to say that that's the way anybody's mind works. I don't care if you're a Pete where you're just how he is and and just excited about everything and all these different things. Like if you put something that's easy to understand and concise and it's all right here, like we're all going to be able to say yes a lot easier. Here I just put all the comps next to each other with the subject property. Give it a good breakdown of what that is. I had some before pictures at the end, and I have all the after pictures now, so it's pretty sweet. Here's a promissory note. If you guys don't know what that is, it's basically just an agreement that you're going to pay them back, what the terms are going to be, how much you're receiving, and who the parties involved are. Then the joint venture agreement goes way deeper into who has what responsibility, who the parties are, what the distributions are going to be, how the money's going to come in, how it's going to come out, who's going to do the records, what the draw schedule potentially is going to be like, etc., etc. Okay. All right. Now, getting to our markets. Indianapolis is going to be a good fix and flip and fix and hold market. They're the good flips, just like most other places, they're getting farther and fewer in between. The margins are narrowing, and the inventory is also lessening. There are still tons of properties out there though for your cash flow. Atlanta, same thing, and same reasons. Kansas City, you know, there are a couple of areas in Kansas City, Missouri, where you can still get some decent flips. But again, it's not a flip market by any means. And even if you find a property with a good spread in order for you to flip it, it's still going to take you. The days on market just are also not there. It's still going to take you, 2-3 months to sell it after you get it all done. So you're still talking about 6-month turnaround time on flips, but it's still it's a very good fix and hold market. California, of course, fix and flips is the primary strategy here. I don't know anybody really saying, hey, come to California for your cash flow properties. In Arizona, the only thing that we're doing out there is assisted living facilities. That has slowed down as well. There's 3 out there that one of our partners has, and I'm sure he'll continue moving on that. But and it's still a very, very, very hot strategy and opportunity and everything else. But we have found on our end, because obviously we have webinars and we invite people to come learn at our live trainings, and it's a very, very intensive, in-depth training that we do for 3 days out there. And there's huge interests, the first year that we did it, and now it's kind of tapering off, and I don't understand why, but because this is going to be a viable strategy for probably the next 15 to 20 years, whereas some of these other strategies like conventional flips and stuff like that, I mean, we got maybe a couple of years left for it to be still kind of viable, so we got to take advantage of it. All right, so here are my best links. So our website, c2crea.com, youtube.com/Ivan Oberon, where you can catch some of my videos, and this will actually, it is being recorded, so you'll be able to catch the replay, or anybody listening to the podcast, you can actually come down to the video on the website and watch this, so you can catch all the screenshots and the actual links and everything. Facebook.com/Ivan Oberon. Make sure that you come friend me. My email is ivan@c2crea.com. And I really want to encourage you to join our 21-day challenge. Okay, that is one of the most empowering things that I think that you can do for absolutely free, where we teach you a very basic way just to start writing your goals in a few different areas of your life and what they are, and put them out there for an accountability purpose. Start building your vision. Start getting comfortable with writing your goals every single day. And then what you can do is go to c2crea.com/21-day challenge to sign up there. And then if you're ready to take it to the next level, I highly encourage you to join our Thinking to Succeed project. And in the Thinking to Succeed project, you'll actually have an opportunity to go even much more in depth. I give a whole workbook on how to go in depth into writing your goals, how to break them down, how to prioritize them, how to set your deadlines and your sequences and your priorities, and really dig a lot deeper into how to accomplish each individual goal. We're gonna focus on those goals, on physical goals, on family goals, on financial goals, and there are different levels and sections. Plus, you'll also be able to plug into the system to eventually make money helping other people. So I highly encourage you to go to c2crea.com/thinking to succeed. That's c2crea.com/thinking, the number 2, succeed, and sign up there. And if you have any questions, of course, find any of us on Facebook and get more information on all that kind of stuff. All right, guys. So that is my presentation and I thank you for being here with me. And what I'd like to do is I'll either unmute you, or you can raise your hand or type in something in the question box if you have any questions, if you have any comments, if you want me to go any deeper into anything else. Whatever it is that you guys want to do. If you just want to leave and go have dinner, I totally understand that too. Um, but that's the time that we're at right now. Little Q&A. So raise your hand and I will unmute you, or type in your question at the bottom. And if you have nothing to say, nothing to ask, if I covered every single thing that you wanted and you really don't want to say anything because you're shy or embarrassed, I understand that too. We'll just end the webinar. All right, Mike has something to say. I'm going to go ahead and unmute you. All right, Mike, you are live. Are you there? Do you have a mic? Mike, do you have a mic? All right, I can't hear anything, Mike. So maybe your mic isn't working. But if you want to type it in like you were before, I'd be happy to say it for you. If not, see what's going on, because I can't hear you. All right, anybody else while Mike works to figure out what it is that's going on in his end. All right, Kenneth, let me unmute you. Kenneth, you're unmuted. Are you there? Okay, what is going on here?
Hello?
There you are. There you go.
Yeah, it was a question that popped up, said, do you want to unmute yourself? So on top of you unmuting the person, they got to unmute themselves as well.
Okay, got it. So Mike,
anyway,
unmute yourself.
I just wanted to say clarity is power, and you were very clear in this presentation. Awesome presentation, by the way.
Thank you.
And the 21-day challenge is very important. It has changed my life, along with the Thinking to Succeed project. But I strongly recommend all these different programs, because if you're not doing it right now, you're really missing out. So I just want to tell you thank you personally, just like I have with Pete, but you guys are doing a fantastic job.
Thank you, man. Thank you. And it wouldn't be possible without you. And man, you guys inspire me. I know you inspire Pete. It's just amazing to see the level of involvement that everybody has, and it's crazy, man. And one of the things that you'll see, and that we have seen, not just in this since we started this project, but just since we started this business about 2 years ago, is that all of a sudden people will just say, hey, you're awesome, or hey, thank you for this, or hey, thank you for that, and you don't really even know that you're doing anything, right? You're just out there doing it, and you have a good heart, and you're doing good for other people, and it's like we show up places and people know who we are, and it's just really, really weird, because you just get thanked and showered with gratitude, which is just amazing. And you're going to be getting that. You probably already are, but
yes, yeah.
Getting involved with these sorts of things that are all about being positive and self-improving, and being in what's the acronym, KNI. And that's an acronym that I also learned from Brian Tracy, and it stands for continual and never-ending improvement, and in every aspect of your life. And this is just one of those ways that you can really get dialed in and focused on improving every area of your life. So thanks for that, Kenneth.
You're welcome, and that's actually absolutely true. I have been getting a lot of responses. I get anywhere from 20 to 25 inbox messages every day right now.
Oh man, that is awesome.
And I got just people coming up to me, wanting to know more, and especially with this whole quit my job thing has really opened up a lot of opportunities as well. So
you're like, wait a minute, how are you doing that? I want to know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, that's a good hook, man. It's a good hook. That's why I titled this webinar what I did, because I thought it would be. Yeah, that's awesome, man. I can't wait for us to have like our retreat or annual meeting somewhere. You know what I mean? And just get a whole room full of crazy, positive people together.
That's gonna be awesome.
Thanks a lot, Kenneth. And Mike did type in his question. How did you start getting money from investors? That is a very good question, and here's how I did it. It's not rocket science again. The first thing that I focused on was my knowledge. Okay, so I focused on learning what I didn't know as well as I could. That way, I could speak about it as though I had already done it. Okay, understanding how it's supposed to work from start to finish and being able to talk about it and answer basic questions is one of the keys. Now, the other thing that I did, which we already covered here as well, is I developed a high level of belief that that was my course. That was the direction that I was supposed to go in. That's what was going to free me from the place that where I was at, where I had reached a high level of constructive discontent, and that's where everybody needs to be to just, man, what do I do to be even open to the idea, right? Otherwise, I wouldn't have been open to, hey, I got this career and everything and whatever. I wouldn't have been open to go spend half a day at some place listening to some guy talk and pitch me something, right? No, so I had gotten to that place where I had reached that level of constructive discontent, and so I believed. I focused on the why, not the how, because the how is only filled with questions and doubt. The why is filled with motivation and a focus at a future target, and all that how crap works itself out along the way. Okay, so I spoke confidently. I was excited. I believed in it. And because I believed in it, I was able to transfer that enthusiasm. And I leveraged my connections. I leveraged my network because I had never done a deal before. So the challenge there is that when you've never done a deal before, well, who's going to be your guinea pig, right? Who's going to want to give you their money and go go see what you can do type of thing, right? No, so I leverage things, and I worded my conversations very carefully. I chose my words very carefully when I talked to people. When I talked about deal breakdown, and I would get an example deal, I would find an actual property to plug into, say, that presentation, and break down the numbers, and I explain to them that it's a potential deal. It's this is what a deal would look like, and my team has done this, my team has done that. I gathered information. I heard things that people were doing, the things that were happening. I leveraged experiences that other people were having in my conversations, so that again, I wasn't being untruthful, but I wasn't in either way, right? I wasn't saying that I was doing it, but I wasn't saying that it wasn't happening, type of thing. So I was being honest. I was saying my team has done this, my team has done that, the team that I'm working with has done these many things, and this is the way it works, et cetera, et cetera. And I believed in myself, and I believed in what I was saying, and in my product or service, right? Because you gotta sell it. You gotta sell it. You gotta sell yourself. It all comes down to yourself. That's what people buy. People buy you above your product or service. Okay, because that's all it is. Everything is products and services. And first and foremost, people buy from people that they know, like, and trust. So you got to develop that relationship, you got to develop that trust, and you got to develop that rapport with people. And by the way, I can even recommend two interesting books. Okay, as far as that is concerned, and if you haven't read them, they will change your life in a positive way. One is How to Win Friends and Influence People. Awesome book. The other one is called Instant Rapport by Michael Brooks, and that's it takes it down to a scientific level. So that's how. Did that answer your question, Mike? That's how I did it, and basically I took action, and I went out and I started talking to people, and I made phone calls, and I talked about it with other people, and I went and I helped somebody else. Here I am, wanting to add value to other people. I invested a couple hours of my day talking to some guy that was willing to come up, make the drive. He asked if I would meet him. He was having difficulty understanding how to calculate numbers, et cetera, et cetera. And I said, sure, okay, I'll meet with you. I'm not gonna friggin' drive an hour to go see you in order to do that. But if you come to me, I'll go ahead and meet you. It ended up being like a 2 hour conversation at a Starbucks of all places. And I had a guy who happened to overhear the conversation. And once he saw that we were wrapping up, he came and introduced himself and gave me his business card and said that he heard what I was talking about and that sounds like I know what I'm doing and that he'd like to talk some more about maybe investing with me. So you never know where those opportunities are and where they're going to pop up if you don't go out there and just do it, right? Just live it. Just be that person. So that's how you find it. And here's another thing that I'll tell you guys. And I did a webinar on this, kind of bird dogging for money is basically what the webinar was about, because one of the challenges that you guys will have, even if you start finding money or people that have interest in what you're doing, is maybe you don't have all the experience to answer all the questions, or you might not have the deals, right? You might not, because you don't know where to source them, where they are, your market's not working, you don't have the contacts, you haven't built a network, whatever it is. And one of the things that we can offer and that we've done many times is if you get into a situation where you're talking to somebody who can be a potential money partner and you don't know what to do with them, you don't know how to take them to the next step, or they want to give you money but you don't have any deals, and you're worried that if you don't put their money to work, they're going to walk away, because they will, bring them to us, introduce them to us, allow us to have a conversation with them. And now that's one of the ways that you can be another one of our quote unquote joint venture partners, because you bring the money, we have the teams and the resources and the markets and everything else, and now you can get paid for sourcing the money instead of sourcing the deal, instead of doing the deal yourself, instead of doing all that kind of stuff. And you can be part of the process, and you can learn, you can ask questions, you can do all these different things. But as you start finding the money, or people even that are somewhat interested, make the connection, man. Just tell them about me, refer them to me, tell them about our network and who we are and what we do, and I'll have a conversation, and then we can get into a deal together. Okay, so that's another great way, I think, to get things done. I mean, I talked to some other people in the beginning, and I ended up structuring some deals like that where I had the money, other people had deals, and I basically became a hard money lender in a way where I structured a deal and I collected a fee. The deal didn't make sense for a joint venture because there just wasn't enough meat on the bone, but it made sense to collect a small fee, and I didn't have to manage the project. I didn't have to do anything other than be a relationships manager. And that's what I used to call myself in those situations. So, all right. So hopefully I answered that question, Mike. Kenneth, if maybe you had another question. Did you raise your hand again? You're unmuted if you did. I thought I saw it go away and then come back.
No, I didn't raise mine.
Okay, got it. Well, fine. You don't get to talk anyway. All right. So anyway, guys, that is my presentation. I had a good time with you guys. Thank you for spending this hour and a half of your evening with me. I'm going to go and get ready for whatever is next in the day. Thanks so much. This has been Money Matters with Ivan Oberon. Again, check us out at c2crea.com, and you can find all kinds of different resources from our various webinars, not just mine, but Pete's and soon to be Scott's. Our radio show, all our podcasts and our previous radio shows. I definitely encourage you to go on there, because man, do we have some awesome guests that can really help you in your business and just in the things that you do. And also a lot of free resources like our 21-day challenge and the Thinking to Succeed project as well, that you can get involved in, that not only can change your life mentally and emotionally in your business, but it can also impact your finances going forward. So thanks so much again, guys. We'll see you next week, where we'll be discussing something else, another topic that will be pertinent to whatever happened that week. And until then, have a great night and go make something happen.